Hi there. Welcome to this week's episode of the podcast with me, Russell Davis. This is our last week of diving into the archive before I return refreshed next week. And this week, we're looking at one from March 2024. We're unpacking one of the biggest misunderstandings, I think, in our society. That we need to listen to our feelings. That our feelings are a reliable guide to life. What if they're not? What if fear, doubt, and discomfort don't need to be fixed or followed? What if our feelings just be noticed and gently held? We explore how if we stop letting our feelings dictate our decisions, a deeper wisdom comes to the fore. We access something deeper, acquire wisdom beneath the noise of thoughts and feelings. And in my experience, that's a far better and more reliable guidance mechanism than our feelings. So let's dive in and explore why we shouldn't trust our feelings. I think we somehow think we need to listen to our feelings, as if there's some kind of guidance mechanism, as if they're our truth. In my experience, what I've learned over the years, I've had a, changeable relationship with my feelings over the years. For many years, I just avoided them. I just didn't want to go there. Unconsciously, wasn't aware that I avoided emotions. I tried to avoid negative emotions, avoid conflict. And when you do that, you avoid all emotion. I found myself kind of flatlining through life, being a very narrow band of emotions. And then I began to, as I learn about what creates our human experience and the psychology of our experience, I begin to realise actually they're nothing to be scared of. I don't have to be scared of them, and I can just feel them, I can allow them, I can feel them. But it doesn't mean we have to use them as a guidance mechanism. There's plenty of things I want to do. I love my running. There are often many mornings I wake up and I don't feel like going for a run, but I still go because I know deep down my truth is I want to go and I never regret it. And a lot of people are waiting to feel confident before they do something. And if they're waiting for a feeling of confidence, they could be waiting a long time, which is why, to be honest, a lot of people don't do the things they really want to be doing because they don't feel confident enough, or they feel scared to do it, or nervous to do it. And perhaps sadly they never do it. I remember being in a coaching session and the coach said, so what do you want? And I said, I don't want to feel scared about doing this thing. I can't remember what it was. It's something like reaching out to people I feel really inspired in this world and reaching out to them, honour what they're doing and see if I can support them anyway, because I love doing that. I love doing that now, but back then I was very scared about reaching out, and it wasn't from a place of neediness. I didn't need the business, but I guess it's that fear of rejection, a fear of people judging me. And the coach was saying to me, well, I can't do that. I can't stop you feeling fear. And it really kind of struck me how, we can't choose our feelings, we don't control our feelings, and we can't stop feeling particular feelings. It's just impossible. It's just impossible. Yes, I work with my clients, and sometimes we work in the past. We do hypnotic therapeutic work from the past, and that, I think, can take the power out of some of our feelings like fear and guilt or sadness. It can really take the edge off of them, but it doesn't mean we never feel fear, sadness or guilt or negative feelings. And what I've learned is, in my experience, is that true freedom is not never feeling those feelings. True freedom is not caring whether you feel those feelings, and realising that feelings are not a good guidance mechanism to life. That a feeling is not reality. Our feelings don't even know what's happening in our life today. A feeling is a memory then being projected into the future. A feeling is our thinking. A feeling is our imagination, our perception. It's not reality. That we look at life through these glasses of thought. Our perception of life, our perception of situations is what creates our feelings. Nothing else. If someone punched me, I'd have probably an emotional reaction to that. But my emotional reaction is caught up into my story of that, the injustice of it, whether if I felt I deserved it, I might have a different response to it. Everyone has a different emotional response to situations because we all have different thinking about it. And often we might think the same as other people. We think that's reality, that's how it is. But it's not. It just means we think the same. We're wearing these glasses and we're not even aware we're wearing them. If you wear glasses, you forget you're wearing them. But you know you wear glasses. If someone said, "Do you wear glasses?" You say, "Yeah, I wear glasses." But most of the time throughout the day, you're not consciously aware they're there. And that's like this layer of thought. Looking through life, through this lens, this filter, and everything we experience is behind that lens. It's like those lenses are actually little movie screens. And our thoughts project our perception of the world onto those screens, and that's what's creating our experience. So the feelings exist, in our mind, in our thoughts, this side of the screen, behind the lens. They don't exist in the real world. They're not caused by the real world. They're caused by our thinking about it. So our feelings don't know anything what's happening in our life today. Our feelings are telling us whether we're being present or not. When we're fully present to a situation, we don't have an emotion. When we're fully present to something, there's no emotional response. There's a state of being, a presence. And of course, that's not saying that's always possible. We're human. We're going to have feelings. We're going to have thoughts. We're going to have memories. Our mind is a pattern hunter. To make sense of the here and now, our brain goes into the past looking for relevant information. And often it pulls in memories that have emotions associated with it. So we think this situation is like that situation, which means we feel like this. It's triggering a memory. An emotion is telling us we're no longer being present. You could say an emotion is telling us about the quality of our thinking, whether we're seeing things with perspective and clarity, or whether we're caught up in some movie in our head that's very plausible, very realistic, but still a movie. Still a movie. It's not real. It's not truth. It's not reality. So the more we can see what creates our feelings, we can have a different relationship with them. We can hold them more lightly. We don't have to let our feelings dictate our behaviour. And left unchecked, it will. Unconsciously, we let our feelings drive our behaviour. But if we can be consciously aware of our truth, the space between thoughts, when we have a quiet mind, when we're present, with clarity, perspective, we're more connected to our truth. And it's about being more committed and connected to that part of us, our true sense of self. We often lose sight of throughout the day, which is natural, which is human. The more we're consciously aware of who we are and what we really want, we can make a commitment to that sense of self. So I make the commitment to the sense of self, to me, that wants to go for a run, that wants to be fit and healthy. So I wake up, I don't feel like it. I can still choose to be that way. Knowing that's more my reality, not the feeling of wanting to stay in bed. In some sense, we're addicted to feeling comfort. We do anything we can to move away from discomfort, even though what's creating the discomfort is our thoughts. And it's easy to lose perspective. It's easy to lose perspective, especially when we go through challenging times. We think it's us, and we think it's life. We're through infertility. I was very angry with life. I blame life. Things life's not fair. Well, actually, a lot of the time I blame myself. There's something wrong with me. Well, there was, biologically, there was something not quite right. But actually, even when my fertility improved, I had a lingering sense of me not being good enough, not being enough. Oh, it's me. As we go through challenging times, it's easy to think it's life or it's us. That's the cause of our experience. But that's when we're losing perspective. It's not us. It's not our DNA. I thought I was a warrior. Is it my DNA? My mum was a warrior. I'm a warrior. It's just who I am. No one's born a warrior. It was a learned behaviour. It was a habitual thought. I had a habit of worrisome thought. That was it. I had a habit of putting these glasses on. It wasn't me, my DNA. Before that, I thought it was my life circumstances creating my worry. I'm worried because of this. I'm worried because of this. But the situation doesn't make us feel anything. It's that lens, that filter of thought creating it. And it's easy to get caught up in that fear. It's easy to lose perspective. So having people to talk to is really, really helpful to regain perspective, to regain clarity. In my experience, feelings are not a good guidance mechanism to life. If I listen to my feelings, I'd never go for a run. Probably, very rarely. If I listen to my feelings, I'd never speak to my wife again. I'd blame her for my disgruntlement. I'd blame her for if she complains or judges me in some way. I'd take it personally. And sometimes I do. I'm human. Sometimes I do. Far less than I would do otherwise if I thought my feelings were coming from my life experience. So what if you could hold your feelings more lightly? What if your feelings know nothing about your life today? What if your feelings are memories and imagination? What if you can hold them more lightly? And below that, in the space between thoughts, in the space between feelings, when your mind is quiet, when you're present to yourself more fully, that's when you access your truth. That's when you see situations more clearly with perspective. And you can choose to commit to that you, honour that you, despite the feeling. Despite the feeling. You're not your feelings, you're not your thoughts. Who you are is the observer of those thoughts and those feelings. You're the one who has those feelings. It's part of us. Our conscious awareness, or the observer of our human experience, our soul, whatever language you want to use, is a part of us that is the observer of that. When you have a conversation with yourself in your head, which one's the real you? Well, neither is. You're the observer of that conversation. So you can hold these things far more lightly. And when we do, we hold them more lightly and allow them to move through, our mind settles automatically. And we regain perspective and clarity. What if you could take the actions you want, do the things you want despite the feeling? What if you didn't need to get rid of fear? You just could benefit from some more courage to trust it's what you want to do despite the feeling. And to trust you can do it because the feeling knows nothing about your future. It reminds me of doing a parachute jump. And I loved doing a parachute jump. I was terrified beforehand. I had clients do parachute jumps. And they were terrified beforehand. I'm not sure I met someone who's on a parachute jump and regretted doing it and didn't actually enjoy it. And most of them want to go again. They enjoyed it so much. They were terrified before, but actually what's on the other side of that fear was freedom, excitement, being alive to life. That's the other side of our fear. And they made a choice to take that step despite the fear. What if you could do that? Take the steps you want in life, take the actions you want despite the emotion. No, it's not truth, it's not reality. And honour your soul. Honour your soul. Sometimes I say to my clients, I'm a champion for their soul. I want to help them live their life true to their soul, not their habitual thoughts and feelings. Loving you.